Days of Heaven is the celebrated second film from American director Terrence Malick, also known for Badlands, The Thin Red Line, and the more recent Tree of Life. When people make lists of beautiful movies, Days of Heaven is normally near the top of that list. It exists in its own special time, at dawn, dusk, somewhere in a glowing field where people are always bathed in an otherworldly light, appearing as if they're living embodiments of some kind of sepia-toned past that we've pieced together from photos. More specifically, the story takes place in Chicago and Texas in 1910 and involves a young man, Bill, played by Richard Gere, who accidentally kills his boss in a brawl at a Chicago factory. Bill, his girlfriend Abby, played by Brooke Adams, and his little sister, Linda, played by Linda Manns, flee on a train headed for the Texas Panhandle. They take jobs as hands, posing as brother and sister to avoid, some kind of trouble or ridicule for living the way they do out of wedlock in the time period. The film spends a long time establishing the pastoral beauty of this place. It's a hard life, but we're given more than a few scenes of workers playing and having fun in a way that, I think, glamorizes the simplicity of their lives as laborers. That this film isn't out to make political critiques about labor. Just some might disagree, but I think Days of Heaven exists more as a kind of pastoral legend or dark fable than a political one, even though they do establish a strong visual gap between the workers and the owner of the farm, who's a shy farmer played by Sam Shepard. Despite the farmer's lofty status, he appears to be kind and noble, with the exception of his habit of sometimes spying on Abby, who he's developed an attraction for. When Bill overhears that the farmer has only a year to live due to some mysterious illness, he suggests to Abby, to her shock, that she should pursue his advances to better secure their future. Beaten down by the hardships of their daily life, she decides to marry him, expecting him to soon die and leave her, and by extension Bill the farmer's fortune. But a year passes without the farmer's condition worsening. Bill and Abby continue to see one another secretly and are not terribly clever at hiding their intimacy that goes beyond what a normal brother and sister relationship would entail. But as some might expect, she ends up falling in love with the farmer, and Bill becomes pretty distraught. But the honeymoon doesn't last long. After the farmer's lead associate shares his suspicions about the two, and he catches them kissing during his spying several times, it's about to go down for Richard Gere and company. But before the farmer has time to react, the film enters its most iconic sequence. A plague of locusts come and attack the crop. It's probably pretty well known that this was achieved through dropping peanut casings in reverse, but no one would ever be able to tell that. It's truly a sublime moment in cinema, where the moral actions of its characters are so brilliantly illustrated through the weight of a biblical plague. With the farmer's realization that he's been duped, it's as though the end times has been unleashed upon the plantation. Through frantic efforts by the laborers and a series of controlled fires, the locusts are contained, but the farmer, still experiencing his own personal apocalypse, attacks Bill and orders that the fires burn out of control. Bill and the farmer lose each other in the chaos, but the next morning the farmer draws a gun on Bill, and Bill kills him with a screwdriver jammed into his chest. Bill, his sister, and girlfriend escape, but are eventually tracked down by the lead ranch hand, and Bill is killed. The little sister, who periodically narrates the film, continues a life on the road after being dumped in a boarding school. It took me a while to get into this movie, I have to be honest. It doesn't have all of the elements that I'm looking for in a great film. It has uncommonly beautiful visuals, shots that are painstakingly crafted through shooting at the magic hour, that time just before dusk or after dusk or something like that, when light is much more dramatic. But Richard Gere, period love triangle, I don't know, maybe I just wasn't sophisticated enough in my early 20s when I first saw this movie, but I just didn't think of it much until recently. But because of its reputation and recommendation from friends, I found myself going back to this film and truly love it to this day. I've discovered a much more complex and dark film upon my reviewings. The more sympathetic I think one is in life, the more effective this film can be, and I think just naturally we become more sympathetic as we age. When watching this before, my sympathies didn't even come close to falling for the farmer, just simply because he was the man and Bill and Abby were the underdogs. But how noble are these underdogs? The real tension of this movie is the juxtaposition of the beauty of their surroundings and life with this ruthless, kind of muted, murdering deceptiveness all the way through. If I do have a criticism for this film today, it's that the emotions are, on a whole, just a little bit muted, somehow less visible through the lulling parade of all the magic hour gorgeousness. Roger Ebert commented on these muted emotions in his review of the film, but justified them by saying that because the film was narrated by Linda, the real younger sister, um, who observes all these things at a distance, the film also follows suit by observing the emotions at a distance. But I'd rather explain the muted emotions in the film due to the fact that it is a kind of pastoral fable, and that's what's at the center of this film. From the start, Linda characterizes the world in terms of a grand moral fable with an hellfire and brimstone to come if people don't watch out. And that's really, on some level, exactly what this is. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous film that is kind of a morality play at its heart. It exists on a highly drawn back scale that I feel like would be ruined if it got too human with a bunch of Stanislavski-esque performances and people yelling Stella in the grain fields. I think that would detract from it in a major way. It walks a fine line of visual poetry and pure cinema, and for that, it's a masterpiece.